think RBI, within its own restraints and constraints that is imposed on its policies and what its objectives are, probably juggling too many balls, but they have been juggling too many balls for a very long time. But they're doing a reasonable job juggling too many balls. None of the balls have fallen down, crashed so far.
So perhaps then if one looks at it from the lens that you're saying, there is less reason to be critical, as you're saying. Some of us locally are quite critical of the fact that they are lying 12 lakh crore or so, somewhere thereabouts of liquidity surplus, ultra low 3.35% reverse repo rate, which is an emergency rate. So maybe they have some justification in that approach, given that you're saying that there's no support from the fiscal side. We're overreaching on monetary policy.
I would definitely say, look, whether RBI has voluntarily taken the responsibility, or the RBI has been that responsibility has been imposed on the RBI. RBI is today asked to take care of inflation, take care of growth, take care of exchange rate, take care of the 10-year rate, and by RBI's own logic, take care of the yield curve. You can't do all of these. I know we always had that, but I'm saying that there was a brief period of time, I will admit, where we did think that we would focus more on one or two objectives and leave the other objectives to other agencies of the government. In the pandemic, I think we have gone and said, okay, you are again back to where used to be. So all of this talk about inflation targeting, etc., have been pushed out, and we are back again to a world in which we are being asking them to do. Now, again, whether it's voluntary or we asking them to do so, that is the reality is that they're doing it. If you're going to juggle that many number of balls up in the air, to say that you have to juggle them in a matter that is perfectly calibrated, i.e., well, you can't have, you really need to make sure that the liquidity is only 5% of debt, and that your the reverse repo rate is only 25 basis points below your policy rate, and the rupee is exactly at 73, and the 10-year is between 6 and 625 is an impossibility. Right. So we'll have to look at this as an overall picture and say, are there some areas in which they're doing things or they're being forced to do things which are excessive? Is this thing. Now, the one area where I think they are being forced to do things that perhaps is reaching a point of excessive is the amount of liquidity in the system. You can't have that amount of sustained excess liquidity in the system without that liquidity finding some other place to go into. It is not going into inflation the way we think about it, consumer inflation, but I would definitely say that it is going into asset prices. It is not going into real estate, but I can't imagine how one justifies where Indian equity prices are without making a direct link to how much excess liquidity the RBI is putting in the system.
I asked someone the other day, Jahangir, and I'll repeat that question to you, is FIT, or flexible inflation targeting, threatening to go the FRBM way, whether it's glide paths being set or things happening outside the committee purview. Not looking great.
No, but look, we have to go and think about what the drivers of inflation are, right? I understand inflation targeting needs to be much more disciplined, and I take that point. We have been talking about this for ages, etc., etc., etc. So I'm not a fan of having too much flexibility in inflation targeting. That sort of defeats the purpose of having an inflation or having any target if you're going to move the goalpost every 2 minutes, right? But this is very different. The pandemic is not like a standard business cycle. If this was a standard business cycle, I would completely agree with you. What exactly is the RBI doing? This is a pandemic. We don't know how to react to a pandemic. The last time we had a pandemic was in 1918. RBI didn't exist at that point in time. So we don't know how to react to a pandemic. We have to do basically things by trial. And we're doing things by trial. And by the way, I am glad that the RBI is not panicking and looking at supply side inflation pressures, that core inflation is sticky or supply side inflation is sticky, and saying, okay, I need to start raising rates at this point in time. I'm actually glad that they're doing it. Now, can they continue to have that restraint? I don't know. I mean, it will depend upon what the other parts of the government is doing, and particularly what fiscal policy is doing. So again, given the circumstances, I think RBI is doing, I know that we are not happy exactly how they're juggling the balls, many of us, but they are keeping the balls up in the air. None of them have crashed. One place where I would be particularly concerned that it might go in that direction is the amount of excess.